All right, everybody. I want to thank y'all for tuning in to One Objective tonight. Guys, we got a really great show lined up for you tonight. We got Matt McBee from Tater Hog Custom Lures joining us. And if you haven't seen the Facebook live we just did, I was kind of going over what all he does with glide baits and, you know, him getting involved and getting started with it and all that. So we're going to go over that and see what got him into it. But before we do that, I want to thank everybody for just tuning in tonight. I know that there for a couple of weeks, man, we wasn't doing no shows. We just had a lot going on. We had a lot with family stuff. Thank everybody for just tuning in tonight. Anyways, Chris is getting everything right back behind the scenes there. But anyways, Chris, how you been tonight, bud?
Well, it helps to have a microphone in front of me. We're doing pretty good. We out here.
Yeah. Last weekend was fun. 4th of July. Was it last weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was last weekend. Man, everything's just going by so fast. That was fun. Fireworks and pulling and grilling and
all kinds of shenanigans.
Oh yeah, wigs and
pit vipers
being worn. And I mean, I don't know if you guys seen any of those pictures or not, but I'm gonna tell you what though, Chris, you missed it. My buddy Josh came over Saturday, and he had his mullet wig. His was with a bandana. So,
wow.
And it was red, dude. It matched his hair. So it was like the bandana, like the sweatband, but the back of it was the mullet part hanging out. So, you know, and he's bald
sweet
as it is. So
yeah.
it was super sweet. So we was going to try to get a picture, but time got away from us. Never got it. So we need to get all together and get a sweet picture in your outfit and mine. And
oh, yeah.
That was fun. So, but yeah, we had a good time. Good fun weekend. Had a blast. And it was nice just to kind of chill and relax and get back to now we're kind of getting back in the swing of things for work. And iCast is getting ready to come up. We'll go talk a little bit about that here in a little while. I don't know. There's not a lot out there that's making me say wow. But there was a few things that I did see that I'm very interested in. We're going to shoot a few videos of or shoot a video of when we get down there. But before we get into everything, though, I want to thank all our sponsors. They've helped us out. They've been great to us. They've been with us, like I say, all the time I say this. They've been with us practically from day one. And it's hard when you build a good relationship with the sponsor and work with them guys and they help you and you help them. And because that's how it should be, you know. They should be helping you and you should be helping them. Y'all should be working together on this. So, but anyways, I want to thank Missile Baits, Falcon Rods, Baino Batteries, Yak Attack, and AccuCoal. Guys, I appreciate all that you've done for us. If you don't mind, go check them out, help support them, and if you do talk to them, tell them that One Objective sent you. So, but had a good week last week. I'll say good. It was great. It was great. I was able to get out and go fishing. That's what was so great about it. It kind of sucked because I had to dodge some storms for a little bit. And I'm working on the video now, but I only got one fish. I had a couple blow-ups, missed them. Had one fish on a drop shot. And I caught a 20-incher. I was able to put that 20-incher on my catch board. This board right here, this exact one. But I was able to finally put a 20-incher on. The first fish I've ever put on that board was a 20-incher. So it's got to be a good omen. It's got to be.
You got it broke in.
Yeah, it's got to be some kind of good luck. Because I have on my other one, I for some reason have not put a 20-incher on that board. So.
Which one's that one?
My green one.
Oh, okay.
My big catch board. The metal one, I have not.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe when we went down to Louisiana, I might have put that big one on there. I call it a 6-pounder. I put on there maybe. But other than that, that's the only one, man. It's been 19 and 3/4, but I haven't put a 20 on there yet. Yeah. So finally put a 20 on here with my first fish. So I was excited about that. But was fishing the Save JT charity benefit tournament. And if y'all haven't looked into it, make sure you can either go on Kayak Bass Nation. You can look up information there and talk to Ryan Lambert. You can go on Tourney X and look up Save JT tournament, charity or benefit tournament. They're doing a lot of giveaway stuff with this. It's a lot of great companies that come in and support us. Ryan Lambert and them guys have done one heck of a job putting this together. So make sure you go get signed up for that. You can sign up all through the month of July. It ends July 31st, or is it 30 or 31st? 31st.
31st, yeah.
Yeah, 31st. So But and you don't even have to fish it if you just want to donate. You know what I mean? It's $50. You go in, you donate, and I actually seen something going on there the other day that really made me just upset for the fact that somebody's fish got DQ'd, and it was a lot of ramifications with it and getting upset. And I'm just sitting here thinking, guys, this is a benefit tournament. Yes, you want to win. When you enter a tournament, it ain't about the money. It's just about who's the best. When you're doing it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when it comes to a charity event, it's all about the charity. It don't really matter who's the best. You just want to go there and have a good time. But you still want to win. There's still some kind of competitiveness there. But anyways, I just, I seen some stuff going on. Just really, I try to keep this show drama free. So, but it just really irritated me. I seen that, and I'm just like, come on, guys, think about what the big picture is here, not about a fish DQ'd. If my 20-incher would have got DQ'd, man, I'd been like, crap. But it is what it is. The rule's a rule. So, but anyways, Chris, you said we got a question real quick?
Yeah, Rob wants to know if we've ever heard of Blaine Upton kayak fishing.
Blaine Upton kayak fishing?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard of that.
Pretty good in the Carolinas, he said.
Pretty good. What is it? YouTube or?
Well, I guess it's just a person, but
okay, I got you.
He put his name up there. It says Blaine Upton. He's a bass fishing guide and tournament kayak angler.
I got you. All right. Well, hey, if you got a YouTube or whatever, put it up there. Let everybody know. You guys can go subscribe. Speaking of that, if you haven't yet, please hit the subscribe button. Hit the thumbs up button if you're watching it right now. If you're watching the show right now, please share it. I want to get Matt McBee as much exposure as we can. I don't know if he needs any more, but Chris Zaldane and all of them has done a really great job at pushing them, and I don't think we could do any better than Chris Zaldane and them did. But we want to get them as much exposure as we can. So, like I say, just thumbs up, share this video, on your page or whatever. Let's get some people in there. Let's ask some questions. If you got any questions for Matt, he's really great at throwing glide baits. If you go on his page, Tater Hog Custom Lures on Facebook, I think he has an Instagram too. Anyways, go on there. Go check out his website. He's got some tanks that he's caught, and he's got pictures of other customers who caught some tanks. A guy on our pro staff, Josh Little, he has caught a tank or several tanks on his glide baits as well. And Josh he's a kayak fisherman and all that. So, but like I say, make sure you go check these out. But like I say, if you're here, hit the like button, hit thumbs up, subscribe. Also, if you are listening on iTunes right now, please go give us a 5-star if you like it. I hope you like it, but please go give a 5-star. Also, if you did give us a 5-star, let us know, write a review, and let us know why you liked our show. You know what I mean? Why, what is it that you liked about it? And if you didn't like the show, let us know what you didn't like about it, because that way we can try to improve it and, make it better for everybody. So, also, we're going to be we gave away a big pack last time of One Objective baits. So this time we're just going to be giving away a couple packs of flipping weights this time. And Chris, at the end of the show or after we have our guest on, he's going to pick a random winner. So then once you win, just send your information to our Facebook page, our messenger, or we can reach out to you either way if we ain't heard from you, and that way we can get your address. We already sent out the last pack that was won. We did have somebody comment about something with a pack that they won from our RBT custom bait stuff, and we're reaching out to Ron. I know it's been a struggle. It's been a struggle for a lot of people doing custom baits with getting baits, with getting blanks and all that stuff. It's been tough. That's why Ron hasn't really advertised much, because he'll do custom paint jobs for baits that you already have, but trying to do baits to sell out, he's struggling right now with that. So but we love you, Ron, and we hope that things get better for you so we can get you back and doing some giveaways on the show here. But also want to give a huge shout out to our boy Shane Lamont, winning the American Bass Kayak Series, the ABA Tournament Trail over in California. We sponsored this event. It was super awesome to see Shane win this. I was so pumped. I was following him on Tourney X. He sent me the link. I've been following him all day yesterday. And, I was looking through, and at first he was at 8th when I looked. And I was like, man, I sent him a message. I was like, dude, keep grinding, man. Keep your head down. You got this. And then I went back and checked at like 2:30 or something like that, 3 o'clock. And I'm like, where's Shane at, man? Like, I'm looking through, and I didn't realize that they put the winner on the big part of the screen up top on that. And it was him. He was leading that thing. and he ended up he won it, man. He won it on a frog bite, and it was awesome. And I was trying to get him on tonight, like say I was talking. I think I was doing the live thing. Freaking exhausted. Kids didn't sleep good last night. I didn't sleep good last night. So we're gonna get the one guest on tonight, and then we'll save Shane for the next show. But other than that, what time we got, Chris?
8:11.
8:11. Let's go ahead and get our guest on. Call him. Listen to that awesome Skype music.
Skype music.
We got you, Matt. Hey, Matt.
What's going on, brother?
Hey, man. What's going on, man? How you doing tonight?
Doing good. How you doing?
Oh, not too bad, man. I appreciate you taking the time to call. To join us tonight. I know you're a busy man, and it's probably getting close to your bedtime. You got work tomorrow. But I appreciate you taking the time. I think Chris is still building your scene up. Chris, you got all that good?
Yeah, we're good to go.
Good to go? Okay, man. Well, how you doing, man? I mean, what's going on in Matt's life right now?
It's Sunday. I've just been relaxing.
Yeah, taking it
a
easy.
night tournament last night and sucked.
Really?
Yeah, it was a tough one.
Where'd y'all fish at?
Oh, I usually just fish 2 lakes. I stay around home a lot, either Norman or Baden, or sometimes I'll go to High Rock or Tuckertown. They're little local lakes around our area. Yeah. Last night I was on Baden.
Yeah. What do y'all chase the shad spawn down there at nighttime like we do here on Smith Mountain?
Oh yeah, it's a big deal. Like, well, the last couple of years it's not been as good on Lake Norman. They changed I swear it started when they started stocking the hybrid bass.
Yeah.
Hybrids, and it seems like when you try to get up on the bank with the shad spawn, you catch more hybrids than you do bass. Like the bass can't compete with the hybrids anymore. Like the shad spawn the last couple of years for us hasn't been like it used to be.
Yeah. I know for us, when I'm going down a bank and I start hanging the stripers, I just leave and go find another bank until I find some bass, because it's like you say, they can't compete with them. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
they just kind of pull off. Or I'll kind of flip around a Texas rig a little bit and just see if I can get that one bass that's trying to get something lingering, when all the stripers are up there. But no, that's cool. Because we went down to Chickamauga and fished the kayak bass, the Kayak Nation Bass Series, and talking to them guys, I like seeing what everybody throws for night events at different lakes, because it's not always the same. Like around here, people throw thundersticks and Mikeys. What do you guys throw down there?
Well, what's real popular on Lake Norman was the Cotton Cordell Redfin, which I guess is kind of similar to your thunderstick.
Yep.
And then, honestly, one of my baits you got up there right now, the Moonshiner.
Yeah.
And my theory about the Moonshiner and even the Jacko Mikey, I honestly think the bass thinks it's 3 or 4 tiny shad swimming together, the jointed swim bait. So in my theory, it's the shad spawns A-rig. The bass is sitting on the rocks waiting for all the shad to come by, and it's just opening its mouth, feeding up, grabbing as many as it can.
Yeah, yeah. And it's always amazing to me if you got 2 or 3 treble hooks hanging off of that thing, how they miss it sometimes. They'll just blow it out the water, dude.
I honestly do think, because I've done that a lot. I think sometimes this other shad are following your bait and they're hitting shad behind it.
And it could be. You
just can't see it because it's dark.
Yeah, because it's like that with a spinnerbait. If you're working a spinnerbait, you can feel the shad eating that spinnerbait up sometimes. And, they're just trying to run with another pack of shad, I guess. I don't know, but yeah, I could see that. I never thought about that, but I see your point there. So. Well, let's talk about Tater Hog Custom Lures, man. Let's talk about. I mean, you got some really great looking baits, and you don't see you don't see no complaints about them. You know what I mean? Like, and you see a lot of happy customers with them. But let's talk a little bit about it. Let's talk about how you ended up getting into making glide baits, because that's not something that you just. It's an art to it to make it swim right and make it do all this. So how did you get into that?
Well, I mean, I really first started out doing, I just started painting baits, doing repaints. And then that kind of proceeded into making crankbaits. I made a lot of crankbaits. And then I got into making wake baits. And then I had a buddy tell me, get into the glide bait part of it. And that honestly, that was probably the more complicated bait to make because of the weight system. There's a lot of trial and error to get it weighted right, and it's just really time consuming. And no, I mean, I can make 10, and 7 of them are sinking perfect, and 2 of them are floating, and 1 of them sinks too fast. The one that sinks too fast, and they all have the same weight in them. You make them exactly the same. One of them you got to go back in. The one that sinks too fast, I might have to drill a hole in it, take weight out. Or the ones that float, I got to figure out how to add more weight to them. You know, but glide bait's probably the hardest swim bait to make. A topwater bait's pretty easy. You get it to float, put the right ballast in it, and it should, there's a lot of trial and error to it.
Yeah.
But after you make so many, you kind of figure it out.
Exactly. That's what people don't understand. Like, they'll look at the price of these glide baits, and just like what you're saying, it's time. I mean, you got to test each bait. Every bait has to be tested, and then you got to go and put the immaculate paint jobs. I mean, that one right there is coming up on the screen. That's just phenomenal, man. Like, it looks like a shad. It looks so, and it's a lot of time into that right there. And, that's with you, and, there's several other companies out there that make glide baits, and there's some that are, I'm like, God almighty, they really want that much money for that. Like, it looks like my kid painted it, you know what I mean? And asking crazy price. They might catch fish. Sometimes that don't matter as much. It just depends. But I think on a glide bait it does, because the fish follow it so much. You know what I mean? Like, everything.
Well, there's a lot of times, and there's not. Chris Daldane wasn't the only pro that's got my stuff. I mean, he just caught him on Bass Live and that kind of thing. And I've told a lot of my friends. I got a lot of friends in our area that are on the Elite Series. Hank Cherry, Shane Lineberger, Shane LeHue, Todd Alton. There's tons. And we all fish against each other in the wintertime when they're off season on our little local events. And a lot of times I'd tell them about it. I was like, guys, when they're on the beds or something like that, some of these big swim baits will bring a fish out. Even if it doesn't eat the bait, you kind of see where it's at. And even sometimes I'll go back and I'll skip a Cinco to that area if I don't think it's going to hit the glide bait that day, or I'll throw a jig on that bed and catch that fish. But I wouldn't have known about the fish had I not thrown the bigger bait for the fish to show where it was, what it was relating to.
Yeah.
So sometimes it catches fish that you don't catch.
Exactly. And, I learned that. I got to throwing some swim baits early because I was getting into swim baits. And when I got confidence with big swim baits, I was like, man, I want to try glide baits now. Like, I want to keep this going. And I noticed the same thing, like with swim baits too. Like, you would see fish chase it and then they wouldn't hit it, but you give it a little bit and you go over and you'll see there's a big bed over there, and you're like, holy crap.
A lot of times they're just chasing. They're just saying, get out of here.
Yeah.
And the bigger bait intimidates it more. I mean, sometimes you catch them when they crush it because they're locked in. Same thing as, I know a lot of guys have bed fished before and they skip a Cinco, fish flares its gills and just comes and eats it. Well, it was locked in.
Yeah.
They'll do the same thing to the big bait too when they're locked in.
Yeah. At that point, they'll hit anything then. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah.
But let's talk a little bit. All right. So, you're adjusting weight and getting everything tuned in, and I was going through looking at pictures and I see where they're all apart and you're putting things together. I mean, when it comes to painting these things, is it harder to paint a jointed bait than it is like a regular crankbait, just because of where all the joints are? You know what I mean? You don't want to get paint in there and tighten things up. So, I mean, how much time does it take to even paint one?
Well, usually what I do is believe it or not, painting is about 10% of it. Everybody probably thinks that's the longest part. Building it and prepping it and getting it ready to paint is probably 70% of the job.
Yeah.
And then painting is the fun part. Then I literally paint the bait together, and a lot of my jointed baits will have a rod in it where the joints connect. Well, I'll paint it together, pull the rod out, and clear each part separate. Then go back, kind of check if there's clear in the joints, clean the clear and stuff out with a Dremel tool or something. The last thing I do is glue the rod in. And actually, I'll put the rod in, test it, tune it, see if I got to do anything with the weight system. Because sometimes you can still add some weight that you guys can't see in between the joints to get it to swim good. And the final thing I do is glue the rod in.
Yeah.
And then put hooks on it.
Yeah. I mean, it's just some crazy stuff. And I mean, like I say, how long, you know, you're talking about it's 10% of it, but how long does it normally take? Like wrapping one, full wrapping one, how long does it normally take you to for each individual bait?
It probably takes me roughly just to foil like the Hog Father.
Yeah.
It probably takes me roughly 35, 40 minutes to do one just to foil it. I still have to build it, prep it, get it ready to be foiled, then foil it. That might take me 2 hours before I even get to the step to foil it.
Wow.
Then after I foil, I got to paint it and clear it. But, you know, just like I use a little tool to roll the scales. And after I foiled about 5, I mean, I'll get a callus on my thumb. Actually, I have a good friend of mine, Daniel Cook. I want to give a shout out to Cookie. He's making me a new little tool. I showed him the little die thing that I was using to roll the scales, and he's making me a tool that's actually going to hopefully help my finger, so I don't have to roll every one of those.
Yeah.
With my finger and put pressure. So hopefully that tool, he's supposed to get it to me this week.
Now let's get.
I'm waiting for it, Cookie.
You better hurry up. Now let's talk a little bit about, like, say, you know, you got into airbrushing baits, and you know, we talked earlier, and you know, you were trying to get some baits painted, and what did you say? It was like $7 or $8 to get a bait painted, something like that.
Yeah, when I first started, this is before Facebook. I mean, this is a long time ago. This was probably when eBay was real popular for custom. It was just starting to kind of get a little popular. And I went into a tackle store. I had a preacher friend of mine, and we were Bomber Speed Shads. You guys are familiar with the Bomber Speed Shad?
Yeah.
They were selling, Fleming's Tackle Company up here in North Carolina, close to High Rock, was selling Bomber Speed Shads for like $4. And as a hobby, I could go on eBay and see that a discontinued Bomber Speed Shad was going for like $25, $30. Well, we would buy the shelf out, put them on eBay, whatever little bit of money we'd make, then we'd buy extra tackle. And I kind of felt like I had free tackle. Well, while I was in Mr. Fleming's store, his daughter-in-law custom painted shad wrap, repellas, and DT 6s and 10s. And I was like, man, those are cool. I'd like to see what you charge to repaint some of my old beat-up baits. And at the time, I think she told me it was like $8. Well, I mean, I didn't say anything to her personally. I just said, hey, in my mind, I was like, $8, man, that seems kind of, I was thinking that's going to be a lot. I had like 20 baits. Well, I was in a lot of art classes in school, and I did some different things in high school and got some awards for my artistic ability, I guess. And I thought, well, I could probably paint these baits. So I went and bought an airbrush at Hobby Lobby, came home and started painting them. And then I started, you know, I figured out that the $8 was cheap. It took me forever to do. The first one I think I painted with the learning curve, I mean, it probably took me 3 or 4 hours because I kept washing it off, kept screwing up. Well, then, anyway, I got a little bit better at it. And then my buddies would come over and see them, and they'd want to know what I'd charge to paint theirs. And I started putting them on eBay, and these were just repaints. And I just auctioned them at 99 cents, and the auctions were going crazy. And it just kind of took off from there. That's kind of how I got started in it.
Yeah. I know.
But this was like 2003, 2004.
Oh yeah. So eBay was at its prime.
Heyday. Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I remember, man, you used to be able to go on eBay and buy like what is the Gerald Swindle poppers by Lucky Craft that they used to be out. You used to be able to go on eBay and buy Lucky Crafts, the G Splash.
G Splash.
Yeah. And you could go on there and buy them things at like 99 cents to $1. They didn't have no hooks, you know, and it might be some clear coat messed up, but if they were knockoffs, they looked exactly like the G Splash. You know what I mean? And you could take them dudes, put some hooks on, and turn around and sell a bunch of them for, you know, a good price. You know what I mean? And it was just crazy what those baits went for, man. And like jerk baits, but that's what I ended up started doing. So I ended up buying jerk baits off of their Lucky Craft jerk baits and then painting them. And I didn't get big into it. My stuff did not look nowhere near what your stuff is, but I was able to paint sexy shad, and I was proud of myself that I was able to paint sexy shad, and caught my first fish off of one of them, and it was awesome, man.
Yeah, that's kind of how I got started too. I mean, just you making something or painting something that you did, you felt like you had some kind of part in it, and it gives you like kind of for all of us that love fishing as much as anybody that's on here watching this is going to be a fishing fanatic.
Yeah,
it's like a thrill that you created something or you had a part in something and you caught a fish. It's even a bigger thrill for me now when I see other people, not just, when I catch something on something I made, when somebody else calls me or sends me a picture like, man, look at this fish I caught on your bait. And I'm like, yeah, that's a bigger thrill for me than really anything.
Oh yeah, exactly. And then not only that, I mean, you're getting the exposure, just watching it make a difference in some of these Elite Pros tournaments. You know what I mean? Like, it's a difference maker. And you know what I mean? Like, I mean, you've seen some big fish caught on that bait on live TV.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
it was pretty cool.
Yeah. And then we go down. So we met you at the Classic down there at the Bassmaster Classic in Fort Worth, and just the amount of people that were coming. And you were doing like a limited edition Classic bait where it had the 2021 Bassmaster Classic on it and all that. And the amount of people that were around there looking at those baits, you know what I mean? Now, some people would look at them and they were like, man, I want one of them. And then, you give them the price and they're like, holy crap.
Yeah, I'm kind of used to that. I've always said I could probably make more money at the Classic if I had like a curtain and did a little 5 cents and lift the curtain up. You can look at them and then drop the curtain. Most people don't want to pay the price. But I mean, I'm used to it. They're not for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I can only make so many. That's the thing. You can't compare. A lot of people want to compare fishing lures. Like they'll see, the ones that are in the local, your big major retail stores and the big major players. They're making hundreds and thousands of baits. A lot of us garage guys, we're lucky to make 400 to 1,000 baits in a whole year.
Yeah.
So we don't make that many. It's because of the time. But they can't put the detail and craftsmanship into their baits that we can, but we can't do the quantity that they can. So I had a degree in college in marketing, and I'll still remember one of my professors talking about, are you going to be in business, you decide, are you going to be a high volume, low cost producer, or are you going to be a low volume, high cost or high quality producer? And I kind of took that in the tackle business. I don't make a big quantity of baits, and it takes me a long time to make them. So I have to charge a premium price for the amount of product that I have.
Exactly. And I mean, it's like you say, it's, and the one thing you talking about, like the quality and your paints and all that stuff. Something I've learned too with companies that can make a lot of baits at one time. When I buy crankbaits, let's say Strike King or Norman's a good one, Chris. Me and you got some Normans that we all know too well that you can buy 5 of them, 2 of them might run good and the other one suck. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what happens when you get orders where they can make so many of them because, there's going to be flaws. But like with what you're doing, you're getting the quality. You know what I mean? Each bait can get tested and weighted right and all that.
It happens to me too. Sometimes, I make crankbaits too, and I'll make 20 crankbaits, and 19 of them are awesome, and there's one that's like a dud, and I have to pull it out.
Yeah.
A lot of times the bad ones go in my box. And later on, it's something just. I had this crankbait. I got a crankbait that I sell. My buddy loves it. It's called the Haymaker. It's a deep diving crankbait. And that bait, when it's right, it catches the heck out of them. We deep crank them in brush in the winter.
Mm-hmm.
But it gives me fits. If I make 10 of them, only 5 are worth it.
Yeah.
Or really, I'm willing to ship them and sell them. The other 5, and it took me forever to figure out. It was about how far. This is how weird making baits is. It was how far I was drilling my lip slot into the body of the bait. like, because I literally have it in a jig and I push it into my bandsaw to cut the lip slot level. And if I push too far on some versus the other, you would think you would have something to brace it, but I just the way I'm set up, I didn't have anything. I just figured out if I had the lip too deep into the slot, those were the ones that weren't running as well as the ones that were, there was like a sweet spot with how deep you cut the lip slot.
Yeah.
Yeah, this little stuff like that drives you nuts. But once you figure it out, then now I haven't had any problems with it. But when I first made it, man, it gave me fits.
Yeah, that's a little. We tried to make some years ago, and I was just like, I don't have the patience for this anymore. Like, your slot's got to be cut just right, and if your bait is oblong or whatever, you know what I mean, and you want to make a straight cut, well, you got to be careful because depending on how your bait is, if one side's off or whatever. So finally, I was like, you know what, this ain't for me. Like, I don't have the patience for this no more. So it takes a special person and a special talent to be able to make him crankbaits to run as straightly as they do and the depths that they do. But Chris, did you say we got a question?
We got 2 questions.
Okay, which we got?
Rob wants to know who is his favorite YouTuber to watch.
Rob wants to know who's your favorite YouTuber to watch. You watch much YouTube?
Guys, everybody thinks I'm younger than I am. I kind of watch a little bit of it. Actually, probably my buddy, Joey Sabaga. I watch his channel. He probably got a couple thousand followers, but it's because he's my friend. I don't really watch a lot of YouTube. Yeah. I'm being honest.
Yeah. What's our other question, Chris?
Craig wants to know what type of airbrush he uses.
I use Iwata Eclipses.
Are they ones you can get like at Hobby Lobby? Is that what those is?
Yeah. Actually, I think the Eclipse, I got one right here. I'm actually in the shop. Well, the Eclipse and the Revolution. Actually, I got both kinds. Both of them. I actually bought like a $400 Iwata airbrush one time that had all the little tools and stuff on it. And I found out the $79 to $125 airbrush is perfect for painting fishing lures.
Yeah. Now, are they the top feed or the bottom feed baits? Are you using like a top feed?
No, I do the gravity.
Yeah.
Gravity feed. I don't know if y'all can see this or not. Just a gravity feed.
Okay.
And then I just have like a little spray bottle here with put some alcohol in the water, and just when you switch colors, I can switch colors out pretty quick. Used to, I didn't, I'd have 2 or 3 baits and do 2 or 3 different patterns at a time when I first started. But now I'll get like 20 baits ready, and I'm just spraying white, then clean out the white, then doing the next step, doing it in a process.
Yeah. No, that's pretty cool, man. I love watching guys airbrush. You know what I mean? Like, some people are like, oh, it don't have to be perfect. And you're right. It don't have to be on a crankbait and all that stuff. But I just think it's so awesome to be able to watch guys match shad or perch or whatever. It's a lot to it. And if you watch guys on YouTube airbrush baits, that's how I learned how to do some of the stuff when I was doing it. If you watch guys on YouTube airbrush baits, man, it's some neat little tricks, and it's a lot of being able to control your fingers. You know what I mean? And ease in that button.
That was probably the hardest thing for me when I first started, is learning how far back to pull the trigger, how hard when you're pressing. Like certain times I pull, when you're just spraying a base coat, you're really pulling back and letting the paint flow versus doing the little black shad dot on the side and getting close and trying not to make it look like a fireworks.
Yeah.
Even I screw up sometimes. I mean, and I've done it, I don't know how many thousands of shad dots. But every now and then you'll just get water moisture in. I've got a Craftsman, like 150 PSI, 33 gallon. I got a giant air compressor. And every now and then you'll get a little bit of moisture and it'll come out and it'll screw something up. And it kind of makes you mad for a little bit. But usually you can fix it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's talk about setup with these baits, man. I mean, now, granted, I know you make other baits besides the glide baits. You make if you guys go on Tater Hog Custom Lures.com and check out all the different baits. He's got some crankbaits and top waters, all that kind of stuff. So, but when it comes down to throwing these glide baits. Let's talk about your hog father, your big foiled gizzard shad looking bait. What is your setup with something like that? I'm talking, rod and reel combos and line.
Well, I kind of have a hodgepodge on rods, but I've got actually one of my favorite rods. Matt Harry gave me a rod. It's one of Matt's rods. It's a Kuma rod. I don't even know. It's called Matt Daddy is the side of it, but it's probably like a 7.9, and it's pretty. I mean, it's pretty stout. And I'll throw the hog father on that with like 25-pound fluorocarbon. I want something with a little bit of backbone that I could, because I don't really like. And if you want a pretty heavy rod on the big heavy baits, you don't really whip them like you whip a crankbait. You just sidearm throw them out there, have your spool open, and just let it fly.
Yeah.
And I generally just work it with 25-pound fluorocarbon. I go to Bass Pro Shop and use Bass Pro Shop's XPS fluorocarbon.
Yeah.
It's cheap. It's cheaper than others, and I've never had one break on me.
Wow, I like it. You keep it simple. You know what I mean? It's not like
keep it simple, and I use my regular. Like, there's the hardcore swim guys. I'm more of a fisherman that makes baits.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't consider myself like all nothing but swim baits 24/7. I mean, if they're biting a jig, I'll throw a jig. If they're biting a spinner bait, I'll throw a spinner bait. If they're biting my baits, I'm throwing my baits. But I tend to, as far as like my reel, I just use whatever one of my bait casters that's laying around. I know some guys like the heavier reel for the giant baits.
Yeah.
I haven't had any problems with my regular old bait casters.
Dude, I love it because it's no science to it. You know what I mean? Like,
no.
That's what I like about it. And let me tell you what, I'm bad about making it a science. You know what I mean? I really am. But I got friends that, will throw Carolina rigs on this particular rod or Texas rig on this particular rod. And I'm like, oh God, how do you catch it? But if you keep it simple, a lot of times it don't even matter. You know what I mean? Like it's so less confusing.
Well, there's something to it, like as far as a jerk bait and stuff. I mean, you want some backbone on the heavier bait.
Yeah.
A lot of times the best thing to do is look at the rating. If the bait, like the hog father's around 4.6 ounces. Well, if your rod rating when you spin it around is rated up to 1 ounce, it's probably not going to work.
Yeah.
You're going to have to find a rod that usually say like 2 to 6 ounces. Where rods will vary is one might be super stiff and not have much, super heavy. It might not have any tip action at all. And say you're really wanting to just bring that fish in, horse it in, flip it in the boat, especially on some of the bigger baits. But then again, you might have a little bit of a smaller glide bait and the fish is jumping around a lot. That stiffer rod with no tip, when it starts if it jumps around, it's going to get leverage on you and throw that bait quicker. You have a little bit of tip play to it. It might help you land the fish. There's two theories. Some guys say rip it in, bring it in as fast as you can. Other people might say have a faster tip, softer rod, that you can play the fish a little bit more so you don't pull it out of its mouth if, say, you're just barely got it skin hooked or something.
Yeah. Now, when it comes...
It's all personal preference.
Yeah, it's all in your style of fishing and how you're fishing. Now, when it comes to working a big glide bait like this, and I know this can go down to some of your small ones, and something else I'm learning with glide baiting is just time on the water with it and figuring out your rhythm on how to make these things work right. But when it comes, like jerk baits, working on slack line, is that the same?
Did I lose you?
I don't know, Chris. We all right, buddy? Keep getting an interruption.
We're here.
Okay. It keeps getting an interruption on the screen there.
There's like a delay on my screen, so it kind of throws me off.
Yeah.
Look at the corner. I usually just use like half cranks, especially on like the hog father, like a bigger bait. And, like half crank, it'll go to the right. Half crank goes to the left. Half crank goes to the right. You're just kind of working the reel more than really the rod.
Mm-hmm.
And the key to get some of the followers, if you can actually see the follower before it can see you, sometimes you can maybe pause it for a second like a jerk bait and do something like move it real quick and get it to come at it. Sometimes you can get a reaction from the fish on the glide bait. And when I got a follower, then I might be using the reel and the rod at the same time to try to do something erratic with it to maybe trigger a strike, especially on those followers. But overall, when I'm throwing it out there, it's more the reel than it is the rod. You're kind of walking it under the water, but you're doing it with the reel.
I got you. I understand. Chris,
so you're picking up the slack on each half crank.
Yeah.
And then you're pulling it when you're snapping it.
Yeah. To give it that jerk. You know what I mean? That's what gives it that jerk there. Chris, you said we got 2 questions?
Yeah. What's the biggest bass he's caught on one of his lures out of a kayak?
Out of a kayak.
Do you do much fishing out of a kayak?
I netted Fat Cat Newton's bass out of a kayak at the Bassmaster Classic in Houston, Texas. I'll be honest, guys. The kayak stuff has really taken off. The only time I've ever really fished in a kayak, my dad had a couple kayaks. I couldn't even tell you the brand of kayak. He just had my dad lives in St. Pete, Tampa area, and he lives right on the ocean. And he's got a couple kayaks, and I went out in the backwater. I was snook fishing, and it honestly didn't catch anything. Yeah, hands down to you guys. I don't know how I felt like I was out of place. It's because I'm used to standing in a boat, and just being able to cast and not worried. It was just a little different feel for me. And he had the type that if I tried to stand up in it, I was going to fall out of it.
Yeah.
So I honestly haven't fished in a kayak for bass before.
What's the biggest bass you've ever caught on one of your glide baits?
Probably, let's see. Probably around 7.5.
Oh, wow, yeah.
7.75, I think.
Have you ever been to, what is that lake down there that's real big in North Carolina for the big bass? The MLF went there and fished for the last day. Man, why can't I think of that name now? They got giant fish in there. And I can't think of the name of the lake. I want to say Falls, but it's not Falls. Starts with an
Jordan?
S. It starts with an S. I can't think of the daggone name of the lake now.
Oh, Sharon Harris.
Yeah, Sharon Harris. Have you been in there fishing?
I got a really good friend of mine, Rick Dunstan. He fishes there all the time, man. He catches giants on there.
Yeah.
And they have I guess they have like a slot limit there.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some big ones. There's a guy it was like a brother and a sister. Did you guys see that sack a couple years ago? They had like 48 pounds.
Oh yeah, I think it was a husband and wife. It was a husband and wife. We had them on a show. That was a huge bag.
Was it his wife or his sister? I didn't know. Was it his wife?
I think it was his wife. But
well, the funny thing, I'm really good friends with touring pro Shane LaHue.
Mm-hmm.
And LaHue was friends with somebody that finished second that day to that guy. And he actually called Shane. I remember Shane because Shane called me on the phone and was telling me about it. He's like, yeah, my buddy called me and said, you ain't gonna believe this. I caught 38 pounds today and I didn't win. And I was like, yeah, somebody had like 46 or 44. I don't remember exactly. It was 40 something.
Yeah. Yeah, he was talking about on the show, like, he's like, yeah, we caught several sevens. We had to throw them back because they wouldn't call out what we had in a live one. I'm like, geez Louise.
Yeah, there's big ones in there.
And Chris,
there's pretty good sized ones in. I've been fishing this little lake close to my house, Tuckertown. A lot of people don't know about it, but I've talked to some of the DNR guys before, and they've told me they've shocked up fish as big as 15 pounds in Tuckertown.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So you know there's more in there like that.
Yeah, hopefully.
Chris, you said we got several more questions coming in, right?
We do. David said he may have missed it, but these are made of wood, right? Wood or
no, my baits are made out of resin.
Resin, okay.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
He missed that part of it. Okay.
I carved the original out of balsa, and then I take the original and use that to make a mold out of that.
Oh, okay. Nice. So I mean, it's 100% handmade.
Correct.
What else we got, Chris?
Brett on YouTube wants to know. He says this may be a stupid question, but what is different about a glide bait?
Comparison, I guess, to a swim bait, or maybe that's what he's comparing to. Like,
yeah, I'm assuming so.
You want to answer that question, or?
Hey, it's just a style. It'd be like saying, what's the difference between a spook, a topwater walking bait, and a wake bait?
Yeah, or a Sammy.
It's just a different I mean, it's basically an underwater swim bait that has one joint in it that swims in still like a S-like action. Where if you had another joint in it, it would have two more. It would just have two more things kicking versus one.
Yeah. And also with a swim bait compared to a glide bait, a swim bait is a cast retrieve. I mean, you can do that with a glide bait too. Not saying, there's several different ways you can work with a glide bait.
You can just steady wind it.
Yeah.
And it'll kick.
But the glide bait,
there's muskie fishermen have been making glide baits for years too.
Oh yeah.
There's glide baits in the scene, no jointed glide baits.
Yeah, the muskie guys have been doing this stuff for a while with big baits.
Yeah.
And, and that's why I'm always scared. Like where I fish out on the river, it's a lot of muskie. I don't want to take it down there and catch them because I'm scared to really take my bait because it's a lot of them in the river, and I'm smallmouth fishing or whatever. So I don't really throw them down there. But and also too, the difference with the glide bait is you're able to work it a little bit slower and get that. I mean, some glide baits you can get it to where about almost turns around and looks at the fish, when you pop it. So it's just a slower retrieve and a slower action bait.
It's almost kind of like a jerk swim bait, but you don't fish it like a jerk bait. But there's times that you're like half crank, half click, and you're letting it sit there, and then you're doing something to it. So it's like under the surface, and the fish is following it, and it's looking at it, and it's sitting there. And then when you do something, then it just eats it out of reaction. And jerk bait, you're more or less, it's a smaller bait, but you're jerking it. But there's times you're pausing the jerk bait, and before you get ready to move it again, then it's hammering it.
Yep, hitting it on the stop there when it's sitting there.
Yeah.
What's the other question we got, Chris?
Eric Rumley wants to know when you're going to have more of the blueback herring moonshiner juniors in stock.
I tell Eric I took a break. I've got, normally this time of year, I'm really usually not that busy in the summer. But honestly, I came out with the Moonshiner Junior probably, I think, in February. That's the bait that's up there now. I think I'm looking at it. But I got slammed on those. And then I was thinking everything was starting to slow down because it normally kind of slows down around May. I mean, I'm kind of finishing up, getting caught up from everybody in the spring and the shad spawn. And this year was kind of weird because the weather pattern was just so different. Usually the glide baits you bite is over by the middle of May.
Yeah.
But this year it seemed like it was a lot longer. But anyway, then the Bass Life stuff happened, and then it just really took off. And then, I was working 16-hour days for 7 days a week for a good month.
Yeah.
And we took a break, my wife and I and my family went to Disney last week. And after the Classic, I told everybody I'm probably going to go to Disney for a week, come back and take another week. And I've probably got 7 or 8 baits I got to make for some people that have paid me. I'm going to finish them up this week, get them out by Friday. And then I'm going to work on trying to restock up my inventory. But honestly, probably the best way, like right now, you could go on my website and you have the ability to place an order and buy like a Moonshiner Junior. You just have to wait on me to make it. If I don't have that link to where you can click on a specific color, best thing to do is maybe message me on Facebook. I'll try to turn it on. If I turn all my links on to where you guys can place so many orders, what happens is I'll have to make 2 of this design, 2 of this design. And then it seems like I get so far behind, it takes me forever. I'd rather make like 20 all in this color and have them ready, and 20 and get kind of caught up to where I have an inventory.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're a one-man band. You don't have a lot of
Yeah, it's just tough. As quick as I get something made and put it on there and they know about it, it's gone. There's times now where I just update my website. I don't even put a post anymore. I let people try to find it on their own. Because if I put a post, it'll be gone in an hour.
Yeah. It's crazy, man. I mean, I'm happy for you. I'm glad it's like that, because
I appreciate it. But I still have always I've tried not to put sold out all the time. Like there's baits on my website right now. It'll say it's on back order, meaning you can still buy it. I'll still get your money. You just have to wait on me to make it. I usually say 4 to 6 weeks, but I tell everyone 4 to 6 weeks, and I usually have it shipped before 4 weeks. Yeah. But it gives me cushion if things come up in my life.
Yeah.
something, I got something else going on that gives me that a little bit of extra time to get it out.
That's right. That's right. And custom, people are willing to wait for custom work. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
You have to expect
But this
that.
time of year, this time of year is the best time to be buying stuff because I'm not as busy as I am like in March or April when they're really biting topwater, the shad spawn's going on, and everybody wants something. It always seems like fishermen buy it when the bite's going on. They don't plan for it next year.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, that's how we are. That's like if you go in Tackle Warehouse and you go in there and look, and anything that's like 10-inch worms or in plum or black or they either don't have it or there's not many left in stock. You know what I mean? Because people are starting to fish deep. Everybody's starting to fish Carolina rigs, Texas rigs, deep diving crankbaits. Stuff like that is stuff. And you're right. Like, it depends on if the bite's going on with this, people are going to buy a bunch of it up. So you got to plan ahead a little bit with custom baits. But Chris, do we got any other questions, Chris?
Yeah, Tommy's just curious about the sign behind him.
Okay, I did this for my buddy, Todd Hammond. You guys are familiar with Hank Cherry, right? Just won 2 classics.
Yep.
He's my good friend. I told him I'd give him a shout out. Woods to Water outdoor company that sponsors Hank.
Mm-hmm.
He has a little grizzly bear tattoo on his arm. And he always says, if you're going to be a bear, be a grizzly. And it's just a little funny saying we have in a little group text.
Yeah.
And so I put it on there. It's mostly because I know they're watching this right now and make them laugh.
Yeah. That's awesome, man.
Somebody put that in the comments.
So if you're going to be a bear, be a grizzly.
Yeah.
Don't be a black bear.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, Joey.
It has more meaning to us because we talk about it. It's like how you get in a little group text, you got a funny saying that kind of goes on for a few years.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of our sayings.
I love it. That's a good motto, though. That's a good motto.
Joey, I can't say his last name. He put that in the comments a while ago, and I didn't know what that meant till now.
Joey is he's a Lake Murray fisherman.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Lake Murray guy. He fishes a lot of the opens. He's a good dude.
You guys have gotten some phenomenal fisheries, though, all down through North Carolina, South Carolina. I love Virginia, but there's times I'm like, man, like after going to the Classic in Texas and North Carolina was always a spot I wanted to move to, but then I'm like, I don't know, man, Texas is pretty nice too. It's just the heat. The heat really kills me.
Yeah, it was. I like that. I enjoyed I had fun there at Fort Worth. The steak. Did you guys go to any of the steakhouses?
No, we didn't have a lot of time, but we did eat at a steakhouse when we went to the Houston one, and I learned my lesson on that one of who to ask where the best steakhouse is. We actually talked to Kevin Van Dam at Houston, and I'm like, hey man, where's the best steakhouse to eat at? And he's like, you got to go to Papa Bros. You got to eat at Papa Bros. Best steakhouse in Houston. I didn't realize that me and James going there, it would cost us, it was like close to $160 for 2 steaks and a potato. I'm like, good God, man, I will never ask that man again for the best steakhouse.
Was it good?
Oh, it was delicious. It was worth it. It was real worth it. But I paid for it later, but it was really good.
Actually, we went and ate. I don't remember where we ate. It was in a hotel. And actually, Joey, the guy that was making comments on there, we got a steak, but I swear they gave us a carrot. It was this big on our plate with the steak. Probably the biggest carrot I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
The carrot was about as big as my steak.
Well, everything's bigger in Texas, man. I mean,
I guess.
I loved we went to the Bass Pro in Dallas and went there, and then just around Fort Worth and Dallas and I mean inner city of Dallas. We didn't get in all that, but the outskirts of it, man, I loved it. I really loved Texas, and we're going back in November to see one of my wife's friends, and I'm hoping I can maybe get some fishing in down there one day. Maybe, I don't know. It just depends on what I can line up, but I just love it, man. It's just so many fisheries. If you look at a map, go on Google Earth and look at Fort Worth and Dallas and look at all the lakes in there. It's full of lakes everywhere around there.
Yeah, I've never got. I've only been when I was at the Houston show or at the Houston Classic, and then at the Dallas Fort Worth one.
Yeah.
Still haven't got a fish in Texas.
Yeah. No, I haven't either. Well, I did when we went for the kayak national championship, and we fished Caddo Lake in Texas, but I didn't. That's about the only place I got to fish at. But I
got a question for you guys because I don't know that much about the kayak stuff. When you're in a tournament, like in some of your big tournaments, how many kayakers? Like, is it like a bass tournament? There's 200 kayakers, or you guys have actually more than that?
It depends on the event. I mean, a lot of them don't really have cutoffs, but except for like the Hobie, the BOS tournaments, they'll have like their championship. You have to qualify for it, and then like the Bass Nation Kayak Series, you had to qualify to get to the championship this year. But like regular events, I mean, there's some of them that'll have 60. There's some that'll have 200. You know what I mean? But the cool part about them is a lot of times you're not taking off at the same spot. As long as it's a public accessible boat ramp,
right,
you can take off. You know what I mean? So that's where strategy comes in, and like what's the best spot and where to, you know what I mean?
It's kind of like the Big Bass or whatever tour.
Yep.
You go where you start at a certain time.
Yeah, you just start at a certain time and lines in. Depends on the time of the year. Lines in anywhere from 6:30 to 7. And then you can't submit fish. Let's just say the tournament ends at 3. 2:30 is the cutoff. It lines out. You know what I mean? And when you take pictures, your GPS has to be on. I guess your timestamp has to be on, so you can't catch one afterwards and then submit it. They can see that fish was caught at 250 or 240 or whatever. You know what I mean? So,
okay.
Yeah, it's an app, and I mean it's pretty good. I mean, every once in a while, it's better now. At first, when it first got going, man, it was tough with cheaters. They were taking boards like these. This one you can't do it with the catch board, but they were taking one like the hog trough, and they were cutting them in half and making them shorter and
made it look like it was longer than what it was.
Yeah, and just doing all kinds of shady stuff. And you still get it here and there, but it's not bad like it was when it first got going. It was kind of tough for a while, but no, Chris, we got any more questions?
It's gotten more popular.
No.
Oh yeah, it's gotten real popular, dude. I mean, like I said, I used to be big into bass boat stuff. I've gotten back into some boat stuff. You know what I mean? For fishing for fun, not tournament wise. And every once in a while, we'll go fish a Friday night or something like that. But I just love the kayaking. So I don't know, man. It's back to grassroots. You know what I mean? Like, it's simple again, somewhat. I don't know. We make it a little more confusing with motors and.
No, but I bet. Well, there's an advantage because sometimes kayaks can go in places that the bass boat guys can't get to.
Yeah.
And you guys are a lot quieter than we are.
Oh yeah. Well, it's crazy, man. We was talking about the shad spawn. I enjoy going up here at Smith Mountain at night. In my kayak, and in my boat, man, I noticed like if you get right up on a bank and you start working both ways, casting like a wake bait or whatever, after a while you've disturbed it. You know what I mean? And you'll hear the fish busting away from you. In a kayak, you can just ease up through there, man. I've actually had them chasing shad so hard that they've run into the bottom of my boat. Like you can hear them hitting it.
Dang.
It's wild. Especially like a big striper, and all of a sudden you cut your lighter and you look over the side and there's stripers beside your boat. You're like, good God, man. So it's fun. It's different. You know what I mean? But, something about kayaking, I've actually learned, like, we're always put into boat ramp how good that fishery is in that area because you can't go far. So you break it down even more, and it's really helped me become a better angler going back to kayak fishing. And taking my time and breaking down water. So, but man, Matt, I really appreciate it, brother. You taking the time to call in. I don't want to keep you a whole lot longer. It was great talking with you, bud. And I hope to be putting an order in with you here soon with some bait, especially now I know that you're a little slower now.
Well, I appreciate you guys giving me the exposure and taking the time to even ask me to come on your show.
Well, man, I appreciate it, bud. I'll be talking with you here soon, and you have a good one, man, and hopefully
cool. Thanks, Josh. It was good. Thanks for inviting me, and it was nice talking to you guys.
All right, man. I'll talk to you later, buddy. Have a good one.
All right. Y'all take care.
See you, buddy.
See you.
Bye. Man, I like talking about it. He's just a good when we had the conversation with him at the Classic, he was just a good, down-to-earth kind of dude. You know what I mean? He's a straight shooter. you know, when people come up and ask for the price, you know, they're like, how much is this? And it's just like, well, it's, you know, for the Hog Father, it was, I think that one was a little more. It was like $300 or $400, something like that for that bait. But, you know, regular Hog Father, Gizzard Shad, the one that's been foiled, like Chris Zaldine talked about, it's $275 bait. I know that's a hard pill for people to swallow, but you're kind of looking at what he's doing. It's custom. You know what I mean? Like, that's not nothing you can go in Tackle Warehouse or Lowe's. Lowe's. What am I talking about? Bass Pro Shop. Yeah, Lowe's.
Where they sell fishing lures at?
I don't know. But Bass Pro Shops and pick up. You know what I mean? You're just not going to get that. And the cool thing about custom bait companies like that, though, you can sometimes request a certain color. You know, it might take you longer to get it, but you can request another color. So, what's everybody talking about in the forums there tonight, Chris? I mean, what's everybody saying? Just
chatting. Great interview.
Good. I'm glad everybody's enjoying it. Like I say, if you're still here, please share the video. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit the thumbs up button. It really helps us out with getting our videos out there and just getting some more views, and that way picking up hopefully some business from Matt. So, want to congratulate Brian Schmidt on his Bassmaster Elite Tour event. The tour event went up north. 78 pounds in smallmouth. I mean, there was several 19s and 20-pound bags that was brought in. And, you know, I love watching him go up north and catch a monster smallmouth. I love a smallmouth fish. I mean, a smallmouth bass. It's just, you know, the ones that we have on the river, a lot are longer. You know what I mean? They're not like them big round footballs like you get up north. Yeah. But something I did see, and, you know, the very few people we still have left on here, I'd like to know what you guys have thought about the last two events when it comes to the Major League Fishing and the Bassmasters event that was up there. Major League, they were using, Chris, I don't know if you've seen any of this or even heard me talk about it, but they were using those, oh, God, what do you call them? They look like a big cone, and they put it in the water, and they can see the bass down there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And these guys are laying down on their deck of their boat looking through this with a rod in their hand, and they're catching them, you know? I think it's pretty cool, in my opinion. I think it's pretty cool.
They just need to buy a Garmin.
Well, some of them are running it. They're running the live scopes, but you don't see them as clear on the beds like that.
Oh, okay. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, so they're looking down on these fish. They can see the male and female down there, and I mean they're literally just. I think we're going to get one, or you can make them too, and get
like
one.
A window or something in the bottom.
Yeah, so like it looks like a big cone. All right, so but at the end is about yay big.
Yeah.
All right, and then it comes up, and it's got a round handle that goes. Yeah. And then it's got a lens up top. So it's a lens on the bottom and one up top. And what it's mainly doing is taking the glare off the water. But you're kind of down in the water.
Craig said he managed a 21-incher on a Texas rig with one objective tungsten today.
Oh, man, that's beautiful. You need to share that picture with us, Craig.
Yeah.
I need to see that. Speaking of the one objective tungsten line we got out, guys, it's been doing really well. I appreciate all of our customers. That's one thing I feel like we don't say enough is how appreciative we are of all our customers. I know that sometimes, you know, certain boats or things don't work out right, and we have to make a custom mount or make it work for some customers because either how it would come out from factory or whatever. I get that. And, you know, we've had some great customers that have stood behind and like, you know what, they have patience. You know what I mean? When you run into that. Some of these manufacturers have 2 or 3 molds of boats, and some molds are off a little bit. We see it. We see it with a lot of different brands. So, but anyways, kind of getting off sidetrack there. But we're very appreciative of our customers and all that they've helped us with this business and supported the show and all that. So, you know, thank you guys so much for all that y'all have done this year, last year, and all the customers we've had through the whole entire journey of this deal. To even think about what One Objective has become just as a podcast show is phenomenal. You know, I mean, we're going from sitting at a kitchen table to doing these shows with a little bitty cheap Amazon headset and just recording conversations to going live on YouTube and Facebook now and having actually a production manager. I guess that's what I'm gonna call you, Chris. Our ain't that the right word? For
Yeah,
it?
I guess you could say that.
Yeah, helping run the show. It's just, man, just thank y'all. That's all I can say. I don't want to keep rambling on about it. So, but anyways, we were gonna do a contest, and we were gonna give away some of the One Objective flipping weights. The last time we did a little bit of everything. This time we're giving away just some of our flipping weights because it's Texas rigging time. Now you can, if you win this, I'll give you the option here. If you win this and you say, hey, I don't do much Texas rigging, can I just get some drop shots? We can work out something there. You know what I mean? So, but anyways, Chris was just going to pick a random winner to one of our listeners that tuned in tonight, whether it be on YouTube, whether it be on Facebook or whatever. When Chris picks your name, either send us a message on Facebook Messenger, not through the chat or nothing, on Facebook Messenger, and just let us know your name. Just say, hey, I just won your contest. Here's my address, and then we'll get it shipped out to you next week. But Chris, go ahead and pick a winner. Who we got?
We got us a winner here.
Who we got? I love this.
Tommy Ackright. I guess I said that right.
Tommy Ackright.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that sound. It kind of startled me for a second. I was like, what the heck is that? Oh, man. Chris, yeah, that's crazy, man. So who was it again? What was his name again?
Tommy Ackright. Ackright. I guess that's how you say it.
Tommy Ackright.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Tommy, send us your information, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook. He's
on Facebook.
He's on Facebook. Okay. Send over your information. We'll send out you a pack. Just let us know a little bit if you either want the flipping weights or drop shot weights, and we'll get you a pack set up and get you going. But anyways, what I was talking about earlier though was I want to know what everybody thinks about the whole deal. Whether if you're listening now or you're listening on the podcast later, and you just want to message us and let us know what you think, because I like to use this information on the next show and just kind of give everybody feedback on what everybody's thoughts were on this. But what was your thoughts on the whole scoping? That's what I'm going to call it, scoping. I don't know what they called that thing. Scoping. Maybe that's what they called it.
I don't know.
And then also now, if you watch like Bassmasters and all that, they're glued to the screen. I don't feel like it's like, don't get me wrong, look, we got the Garmin Live Scope, okay? But I use it, but I don't use it that much. And because I don't like getting caught up in something that I could be chasing fish that really ain't bass but I use a drop shot, and don't get me wrong, I've come up on some stuff that's very interesting, and I'll drop down on it and have caught some smaller fish that way. But all in all, I still like see people just going out there and going fishing and making casts and working it and doing all this stuff. Now that you got all the Garmin Live Scope stuff, these guys are throwing daggone jerkbaits out there several months ago on Major League Fishing, and they're watching the screen the whole time and just jerking it in and just getting the fish's reaction to see if he's going to come up and hit it. Now, that is cool. I think it's really neat to watch fish's reactions and what triggers them. And I ain't going to say that if I was out there catching them, I'm like, this is no fun.
Joshua Little says he thinks it's called a bathoscope. Bathoscope?
Bathoscope?
Yeah.
But I'm going to get one, and we're going to go swim out late because I want to go out on them points up there when the spawn's on and see if we can find some smallmouth on points up there. You know what I mean? And find some of those fish deeper at Smith. You might not even be able to see them at Smith. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Well, it might.
You get down by the dam, it gets pretty clear down there, but
Yeah.
it just depends on how much rain we have and all that stuff. So
It's like hook and look without the camera.
kind of, yeah. Yeah, just like that. So we ain't got the scuba diver down there.
Yeah.
Is that show still on?
I don't know.
I remember I used to watch that show, but they always did them up north. I guess because the water was so clear up there.
He would go dive, and then he'd go out with the next day and try to catch them or whatever.
Well, he would go dive, and then one guy's up there fishing on the boat, and he's talking to him through the radio while
He's
they're
like,
diving.
throw it right here.
Yeah.
Here, let me put
slower.
the lure where I want it to be now.
My luck, if I did that, the dude would set the hook, thinking the fish had it. Oh God! But yeah, just let us know what you think. What do you think about that scoping or the constant live scope fishing? I just want to know your opinion on it.
Craig says it's an interesting tool for a couple of grand.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are they really that expensive?
What's that? The thing? They're not. No, they're not that. I mean, they're
Oh.
not a couple. Now the live scope is.
Oh, he's talking about the live scope.
Yeah, the live scope is a couple grand.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you by the time you buy the Garmin, which you can buy the 93 SVs at Bass Pro when they're on sale for the Spring Classic for like $600 some bucks, I think.
Yeah, then you have to buy that special transducer.
Well, yeah, you
right?
got to buy the box for the Garmin,
Yeah.
which comes with the transducer, which is like $1,400.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I mean,
that's where they get you.
Yeah, that's where they got you. So now, supposedly, well, it is the new Humminbird 360 Live, I think is what they're doing.
Yeah.
Now that's all built in, so you just buying the transducer, but it's still like $1,000 add-on.
Yeah.
For it, and
I'll stick with my $400 Garmin.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, for what you do, you don't really need all that. You know what I mean? We're gonna be fishing the river here soon, so you ain't gonna need a graph anyways.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, yeah. I just want to know everybody's thoughts on that. So, but other than that, guys, I don't have nothing else that Chris. I feel like we touched base on everything, right?
You didn't talk about your night fishing trip.
I didn't talk about my night fishing trip. It's not a lot to talk about. It was fun. I dodged storms. And then it's like the shad spawn didn't happen like it should, if that makes sense. Like they didn't come up good. You know what I mean? I don't know if the lightning drove them off for a little while. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I finally pulled off about 3 o'clock that morning, and they were busting further off the bank, which I threw some baits out there trying to get them, but a lot of times you'll start getting into stripers, you know. I had some blow-ups on the bank, but they wasn't like normal blow-ups. Like they were just kind of suck it in, and that was it. You know what I mean? And then I lost one on a drop shot, and I caught the 20-incher that I was talking about earlier on the drop shot, which I'll have that on a video. I don't know how great – so far the video looks okay, but I don't know how great what's the best it's going to be. You know what I mean? Like I'm still editing it, but I have some camera equipment that was set up for – night fishing. You can see me struggling trying to cut the light on in one spot. I mean, it was a mess. I'm sitting here more worried about cutting the light on trying to and then catch this fish. So, what'd you say? We got a question.
Yeah, David Williams' fighter says he's not turned his electronics on all season.
Yeah,
Bass announced that during coverage this weekend.
Yeah, he's fishing. He's just flat out fishing.
Yeah,
and I like that. And he's leading the points. So that goes to show you right there that you can have all the graphs, all the best equipment in the world. It still don't mean nothing if you don't know how to use it or if you don't know how to fish.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Brian Thrift just bought a daggone spot lock for his boat. He's been running a regular Minn Kotas forever. And he finally got spot lock and all that on there.
Finally broke down and bought one.
Yeah, I mean, that's elite pro, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, well, he fishes MLF, but, I mean, he's a pro, and then finally got that
Still
stuff.
use a flasher up to, 2014 on his
Man, have you ever went out with somebody that had one of those? It's interesting.
No, my dad got one at a yard sale one time. I think he still got it up there in the shed. I don't even know if it works. I was like, I don't know how to use this.
It was a guy around here that I fished with a couple times when I was younger, Jimmy Andrews, that could really fish with one of them things. I mean, like, understood it. You know what I mean? It's a science to that thing and learn it. And I
think most electronic ones have a flasher option on them, don't they?
I don't know if they do anymore, but I remember some of the ranches I did have that.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they still do anymore or not. A lot of people that ice fish like them. But now that you can take your live scope with you, and they got the little special box that you can take your live scope ice fishing, shoot, I wouldn't have nothing else. You know what I mean? But no, other than that, yeah. I mean, iCast is coming up, guys. I did want to talk about that. We got it's Ike Anelli's been advertising this Berkeley swim bait that's coming out. I can't remember the name of it. Go on Ike Anelli's Facebook page. He's got several videos of this. But he did one on Instagram pulling it through a pool. And I'm going to tell you what, the action of that bait was phenomenal. I mean, it was a good looking soft body.
What's it call it?
Huh?
What's it going to call it?
I don't know what they call that thing again, man. It's going to bug me.
Craig said the Hook 2's had it.
Yeah, the Hook 2 did have the skimmer piece on it. Hold on, give me a second. I want to find this bait that Mike Iaconelli was advertising there at the iCast. If you guys got any other baits that you've seen that you'd like us to go do some coverage on and get some video of, let us know. Send us a message.
Thunder sticks. Where are they?
Thunder sticks. Where are they? Is that what somebody asked?
No, that's what I asked.
Oh. Let's see. Berkeley Power Bait Gilly. It's called the Gilly. I mean, this action of this thing is awesome, man. I really like it. So he's got a lot going on. So that's going to be probably like the big bait that's going to be released down there. There's a few other. I think Z-Man's coming out with something new. We'll go down there for that. Missile Baits got some new stuff coming. Missile Baits has got some really great stuff in the works right now. I'm excited about that. And we are now a Missile Baits dealer, and working on a few other things. We're going to have some Missile Baits up on the website here soon. We got a pretty hefty delivery the other week with some stuff, so I plan on getting that up on the website here soon. We're just trying to get everything set up for some other things we got coming. So I don't want to go into that right now, but we got some big plans for One Objective and its website and all that stuff. So it's gonna be some big changes coming. So just kind of keep eye out and stay tuned. But other than that, I don't have nothing else to talk about. I think iCast is coming up, guys. Stay tuned. We're going to be shooting a lot of video down there. We're going to be down there for a day. Actually, 2 days. We're going to be on the water demo day, and then we'll be, at the expo. And we're going to go around and shoot a lot of videos, and we'll probably head back then. So, but other than that, guys, I hope y'all have a great weekend. Have a safe weekend or a safe week.
Yeah.
And hope, if you catch some fish, share them with us. We'll share them on our Instagram, on our Facebook story. So we'll talk to you.